Welcome to the Off-Grid Path podcast, and today we're speaking to Kalle Flodin, who has escaped the rat race and moved from Stockholm, Sweden, into the wilderness, into a log cabin. So we'll look at the ins and outs of how that came about and what life is like living the log cabin dream. The Off-Grid Path podcast. Kalle, it's such a pleasure having you on here. I've been wanting to speak to you for a very long time. I've been watching your videos for years now and seeing your progress on YouTube. It's amazing. So welcome to the podcast. And I was just, if we could start off just by letting the viewers, I mean, I'm sure people listening to this will know of you anyway, but for those that don't, could you just give us like a rough background of how you've ended up in this amazing cabin that you're sitting in now?
Yeah, absolutely. I've lived there for 5 years now, approximately. I used to live in the big city of Stockholm in Sweden before, the main capital, so to speak. The very short version of it is that I got very tired of the city life and was going through a very, very tough breakup. And I usually talk about that it's in the crisis in life that stuff happens, both good and bad, I guess. So I usually tell people to kind of embrace the crisis, even though it's hard at the time when it's happening. But that's basically what I did. I made a major change in my life from moving in from the city and an apartment and a typical 9-to-5 job. Found this cabin 6 hours north of Stockholm because Sweden is quite long. You can kind of drive forever and never hit the top. And then I just started working from here, small like freelance gigs as a filmmaker. I was a running coach for a bit. I did event gigs, just everything to kind of keep myself here. And then the summer of 2020, I started YouTube, and that really took off just a couple of months later, actually. So
amazing. And from your YouTube channel, I mean, I'll put links below so that people can find you and actually see your videos. But the thing I really like about your channel is you've got this lovely mix between a very cinematic, beautiful filming style, and it's lovely to watch, visually incredible to watch. But you've also matched that. You're not just showing the kind of cabin lifestyle that you see and all of the good things. You're kind of blending this amazing cinematic, lovely lifestyle, but also with brutal honesty of, and you really do just lay that bare. With everything, with finances and how everything works. So it's this really nice blend of this person's living an incredible lifestyle, but actually you're showing the reality to it as well. So
yeah,
I guess
it's really tough at the same time. Like, even I've talked a lot about this, that even though I live my dream life, if I kind of check all the boxes, like with girlfriend, the dogs, the cabin, my work, it's still really, really, really tough. Like this morning when I was just to pick out, gotta take a shower this morning, and I realized that the whole dam has been freezing. So I had to it's minus 22 degrees Celsius today. And I had to take an axe, chop up the big chunk of the dam, pick up water, heat the water inside, and then go outside to take the shower. And that's before the day even started.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I actually liked, as you said, mix the cinematic feeling with the brutal honesty, because I don't really believe in sugarcoating anything or romanticizing too much. It can be pretty at the same time. It can be real, I think.
Yeah, and you found that perfect combination. I think it's great to watch, really informative, but also relaxing at the same time, kind of meditative, really, to watch. So I guess a lot of people, especially now, I think post-COVID has made people think a lot about their living situation. That's been a huge factor for a lot of people. So I guess people watching your channel, I think people have want to do what you're doing, but might not necessarily have the finances. And I know your backstory because I've watched your videos, but could you talk about that? Because I don't think it was an easy thing for you to do. It was not like it was a walk in the park and you thought, yeah, I'm just going to buy this place and that's it. How did that come about?
Yeah, no, it was not easy at all. But it came from a decision of, if I backtrack a bit, where I was working in the store in Stockholm, and I had my 3 weeks of paid vacation. I took those here in the cabin because I just bought this place as kind of a summer house or a weekend house or so on, and that's how I used it in the beginning. But I spent my 3 weeks paid vacation here in the cabin and realized, okay, I kind of love it here and I kind of hate it in the city. So when I went back to the city to my job, the first day of going back to the store where I used to work, they're like, "Oh, welcome back. It's so good to have you." And then like the next sentence was basically, "Have you thought about that it's actually 1 year now and until you get some time off again?" I was like, "Oh, okay." No, that doesn't really sound so good. And that's the day I kind of decided I need to do something drastically because I can't keep running in this kind of hamster wheel. So I decided that day to quit my job. I still stayed a few months just to collect some money and savings, because when I knew when I would end up here, I have no idea how to earn money because it's 6 hours north of everyone I know. I don't know. When I moved here, I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any family close by. Nothing. I didn't have a workplace. So the trick I did to kind of make it work in the beginning, and the recommendation I give to people as well, that an income doesn't need to be one thing. It could be so many small things that accumulate to one bigger pot. So what I did in the beginning, like I said in the introduction a bit, I used to be a running coach for the local municipality and private people. I did a bit of film gigs for companies, like made their promotional videos. I did event gigs we call them guides, basically go with bigger companies on their conferences and so on, and help them understand the workflow and where everything is and so on. So all of those things together ended up in kind of a small pot that would at least allow me to buy food and the basic things. So there was this transition between, it wasn't a case you were in Stockholm and you these are called this pronunciation is gonna be terrible, but it's an Odehaus. Is that right? Yeah, Odehaus. Yeah, exactly.
Odehaus.
That's a hard one. Yeah.
Which is what is that specifically, just for people outside of where you live?
The house is basically, it can be a couple of things, I guess, but it's basically houses that had been abandoned or not looked after anymore. The people owning them still, but it's too little money to put them on the market as well. So it's not kind of worth it almost. But the good thing is it's a hard way to say, hard word. Municipality around here have been really good at actually helping now people with Odehaus, deserted houses, or how do you translate it? To actually put them on the market. So because there are like houses around here that like just stands since the 1950s. They're in good conditions and this needs a lot of love, absolutely. But there's property and there's cabins, but it's just people are too lazy to put them online for sale. And this was a place like this kind of. They used it as a summer house. No one has ever lived here permanently in the winter, so it's not made for that. It's just logs. There's no insulation on the outside. There's no insulation on the inside or outside, which makes it very, very, very cold, like a day like this, because I slept in with my girlfriend. She's over at her parents' summer house that is a half an hour away from here. And we slept there this night, just because she prefers to be there most of the time. And when I came back this morning, I haven't had a fire all night. We have this little over there, you can see it at least. What do you call it? Air heating pump?
Air source heat pump, yeah.
But it's, exactly. But when it's minus 22 outside, there's no chance for that to keep up. So I kind of need to be here all the time to keep the fire going when it's this cold, at least. So it's a bit tricky.
And that's I guess that's the thing with summer houses, in the fact that they are built for summer. And I mean you're living in a log home, but I wouldn't say from an American traditional log home, they've got big rounds of logs, especially to survive through the winter, a bit of extra insulation. These are 10 inches, like 22 centimeters. They're not too thick, are they?
Yeah. Something like that,
which so and it's not small either, so it's a large space to heat. I know the air source heat pump you installed, didn't you? That was after buying the place, you installed the air source heat pump. That
was quite late, actually. I think I lived without it for the first 2 years almost, and in the beginning I didn't even have the stove back here. That was like just an open fireplace, so basically all the heat I put in there just went up the chimney and heated. We call it heating the crows, we call it in Sweden, basically. That's just sitting there up there heating their feet. But now I have a stove back there that actually kind of generates a bit of heat, but I still need to keep it going, because in the beginning when I moved here, I actually had my bed downstairs here. I closed all the other doors to upstairs and so on, and had the bed right in front of the fireplace, and I just had to keep feeding the fire all night long to keep warm.
And there's you and you captured it on video perfectly. There's one shot where you're lying in bed with I don't know how many layers of clothes on, and you can just see your
a lot.
Yeah, it's incredible. So and sorry, just to go back to the kind of the early days, because there's a few things I just want listeners to understand that this was not an easy move for you. I know financially it was, even though it's incredibly cheap. When you look, I mean, certainly I live in the UK, and there's no way you could get anything near that. So I think you said it was roughly $32,000. You negotiated down to $28,000, but you didn't have the money for that. So that was you had to kind of beg and borrow to make this happen. And then so how did that happen? You must have just really wanted this lifestyle, or you're escaping something.
Yeah. I kind of go into, when I find something I like or something that intrigues me or makes me happy in general, I go kind of manic, is that the word? And I go all in. So I really felt when I drove up here for the first time. I remember parking my car right outside here. It was middle of summer, lovely. And I just tried to keep it cool because the owners were here, and I didn't want to play it, to like, wow, this is amazing, because if I did that, they wouldn't just, he's gonna buy it, perfect, then we can keep the price. So I tried to play it cool, which was not very successful, because I walked around just happily screaming, almost like, this is fantastic. So I didn't have that much of a good poker face, to say the least, but I had to take a loan from the bank to be able to get the funds for it. I got a bit of money from my mom and dad just to cover up, because they told me, the bank, from the beginning, I can't remember exact numbers right now, but they told me I need a certain percentage, of course, of my own to put in as a deposit. But then they changed the basics of the contract, which made it go from, say, I needed 15% of my own from the beginning, and then they raised it to 25. So all of a sudden, I needed $4,000 first, and then I all of a sudden changed their mind that I needed $8,000, and I was like, $4,000 was exactly what I had saved up. So they kind of screwed me on that, but luckily I had my parents being able to step in, so I borrowed some money from them for a few months, and then I just paid back as fast as I could, and I took the rest on a standard bank loan, which I don't really understand how they allowed it, if I had to be honest, because I had no income, no security, nothing. I've tried to apply for loans for when we're building the A-frame now, the studio up here. That cost more than the actual cabin that we're living in, and I wasn't allowed a loan from the bank at all. They were like, but you don't, okay, so you're not going to have plumbing or water? I was like, no, it's just an off-grid little cabin for a studio. They were like, okay, oh no, you can't borrow money for that. You need water for that. I was okay. It's a weird system.
Yeah, so just to give people an idea, so you're connected to the grid, you've got electric, but you don't have running water.
Exactly.
And that's I can imagine is not, I guess you get used to that in the summer, you're going down to collect water, but in the winter, how does that work?
Yeah, it's a bit challenging, to say the least. We have what do you call, like a creek, raining, pouring from, it's called a cold spring, from the raining, pouring from the mountain and then down to a pond, maybe 10 meters away from the cabin here. So we collect the water there, where we use for washing or dishes or showering or drinking water. So it's all from that same pond. But the tricky part, as you said, in winter when it gets this cold, the ice layer becomes so thick, so it takes a while to prepare everything, to cook pasta water if you want to make lunch, or if you want to take a shower. Everything takes time, but the long-term goal of this is to hopefully install at least running water in the kitchen next year. So drill a well and then actually have at least a tap in the kitchen, because that would make life way simpler in so many ways. Because I don't think you need to kind of fight everything. It doesn't need to be hardcore all the time. And our family is evolving. We're having a baby in the spring now.
I was going to get onto that. Congratulations. By the way, that's a huge
thank you.
news.
So that's a big change as well.
Yeah.
And I need to get the cabin kind of as close to ready as I can before that, of course.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to build a whole kitchen and a bathroom and everything, but some things need to be upgraded. And
and I think there's nothing like a baby, major news to kind of put the pressure on to get things done, and as stressful as that can be, it's also a good thing. Probably after the fact, it's stressful at the time, but I guess it kind of puts you up a gear to just get these things in place, because you have gone from you've got progressively, I don't want to say easier, but when you first started, I know you were talking about walking like 7 hours to get groceries. You didn't have a car.
Yeah, that was a rough start. Yeah,
crazy.
I didn't have the money to own a car, so I had packed. I took a very big hiking backpack and as much as I could carry in my 2 hands, and then walked to the store, bought as much like long-lasting things as I could, and then walked back. So it was a whole day's trip basically, from morning to evening.
And
just walking.
It must be interesting, because I think a lot of people go to the store and they think about cost of things, which you would have had to think of, but then you're also thinking about the weight of items, because you've got to carry it back. But so you've progressively kind of got a bit more comfortable or a bit more organized, I guess, in but through being able to finances freeing up and things like that, and now your baby's coming along, so huge congratulations. That's massive news, very recent, very recent news, which is amazing. And so the burning question is, is there what are your I think bringing a baby up in that environment is incredible. I think I may boy or girl, I'll have an incredible kind of upbringing. From a parental perspective, what are your kind of what are you thinking in terms of just very much from the house and that kind of living kind of semi off grid in remotely? What are your concerns there?
I think my biggest concern is to have the basics up and running, because I know there's, living like this alone is no problem. Living with this, with my girlfriend is no problem, even though she likes it a bit more comfortable than I do. Like if you're having a baby that just shits themselves, 14 times a day, it's not the easiest thing if you don't have running water. And it's not going to be very sustainable to just, go out to the pond and just dip them down in minus 22 degrees. Then you're going to have social services show up, I think. But the problem, I think the biggest thing is we have to take it step by step. And luckily we have my girlfriend is called Christine, and her parents' house is half an hour away from here. So we can use that when we have it too tough here, when it's like really challenging. She lives there most of the time now due to her pregnancy, because she's been so sick. She's been on the couch now for 3 months almost, not being able to move, just puking, having a horrible time, which is kind of, I don't want to say impossible in this cabin, but it's not easy. So we made the decision that it's better for her to stay there, and I kind of go here to work and fix and renovate and do everything. And we try to make it and think of like a priority list, is the most important thing. And the next thing I think is like renovating the kitchen, so it actually have proper working areas and hopefully running water in the summer at least, because it takes some time to the snow to melt, so we can drill and pull in piping and so on. But then the next step after that, I guess, would be to actually extend the cabin and then build a proper kids room and an office for Christine here and a bathroom, so we have the basics, because I feel like the more I live here, the more I want the place to evolve. I thought in the beginning when I lived here, as I said, I only thought of this as a summer house, so I didn't think about having running water because then it's kind of charming. Like it's fine, it's just a few weeks a year. But then when you live in it permanently, you understand how much time it actually takes to collect drinking water, shower water, or whatever. And it's not going to be easier with a baby, to say the least. So I feel a lot of pressure on my shoulders to kind of pull in the money to be able to pay for all the renovations and also do the renovations. But we're going to outsource some of it, because there's a lot of things I can't do physically. I'm not a carpenter at all. I'm kind of handy in some ways, absolutely, but it's still a long way from building my own, bathroom and so on. That's way beyond me.
Yeah. Well, I think the way you've done it is fantastic because it's slow, and you haven't just come in and gone, right, this is a 100-year-old cabin. Let's just get the workmen in and I don't know financially you couldn't do that, but which I think a lot of people probably would do. Let's just get it all done in a month and pay all this money. You've lived it, and you've lived a really kind of difficult lifestyle for a while, and then you've made things a little bit easier, and that's happened probably forcefully because of finances. But I think that's a really lovely way to do it, especially you're kind of paying homage to the house itself as well, and
absolutely. We don't want to destroy the vibe of the place because we really love the cabin as it is, but we just want to make it a bit more family friendly, basically.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be like everything is just this morning when I came back, I was just gonna take the shower, as I said, and I was gonna put on deodorant, and the deodorant was just completely frozen. So I had to heat that up over the stove for like 10 minutes to even put on deodorant. And it's charming in some ways, absolutely, but when you have a family to take care of, a full-time job with YouTube and so on, you need it to be a bit less interference, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize the work involved in YouTube. They see the kind of finished product, especially not necessarily unique. There's a lot of incredible filmmakers out there on YouTube, but the content you're putting out is specifically very intense. From an editing point of view, it's hardcore. You're not just churning out lots of content, you're putting out high quality, incredible videos. So just quickly going kind of off the topic, just because I'm kind of interested in that, how much effort is involved in each video?
As you said, way more than people can ever imagine. I usually start a video of in the basic, come up with a title and a thumbnail, if I like the idea, if it's something I want to do, and then I start kind of scripting it out in the sense of not what I'm going to say, but more the basic layout of the story. Like, what do I need to say when I'm recording and renovating, when we are recording of the renovation of the roof, for instance, what do I need then? Because it's not just fun if I just hold the camera and talk out loud all the time. I need the cinematic shots, I need the drone shots, I need me being up on the roof. That means me running down first, putting up a tripod, make it look pretty, then run up on the roof, work a bit, run down again, change angles, and then up and down and up and down. So there's a lot of that people don't think about, and there's a lot of content that never sees the light of day on YouTube. I scrap a lot of it because it gets you have to, as you say, kill your darlings, I guess. And so it's a lot of my stuff on my hard drives have never been published, not the whole stories, but a lot of chunks of the story. And the boring part is that you never really get to see on YouTube the really tough stuff, because then I can't hold the camera then. When it's really challenging renovating the ceiling, I can't hold the camera in that angle because I'm literally about to fall down off the roof. Or when it's minus 25 outside and I have to prepare the dogs, go for sledding or something, it's too cold for my hands and my camera to even physically do that. So sometimes I almost wish that I had like a team with me. That would destroy the whole vibe, I get that, but it would be so much easier in the sense of capturing everything. So it's a bit hard for me and Christine. We have kind of developed this work-life balance, and we try to develop it all the time, and it's really tricky because when we film something in the cabin, we have to decide, is this going to be a cozy evening for us, or are we going to film a cozy evening? Because that's two very different things. And I can't do a cozy evening with her if I have to focus on filming, because I have to think about the story, is the angles, everything. And I try to, as you said, I really like the cinematic stuff myself, so I really put in the time. I could just put up a camera in the corner and then just do the thing I do, but that's not fun for me as a creative person. I like to tell the story through a more cinematic way. So if, for instance, when I just carry in the firewood, I put one wide shot of the cabin, so you see me exiting the cabin and going with the basket to pick up firewood, and then a close-up when I get to the woodshed, and then even closer when I pick up the firewood. So like just getting outside of the cabin, picking up firewood, and then stacking it inside. That's I don't know how long that would take me, half an hour to film, and that's maybe 1 minute in the video, max.
incredibly frustrating as well, because sometimes you just need to get jobs done, and
Yeah,
you know, I mean, but you
and
know,
that's one of the most.
yeah,
Go ahead.
it's super. You know that you have to do that, and it's part of it, but it's very, very difficult, and it'll be really interesting. I don't know. Have you done a video on behind the scenes in terms of what it takes?
A bit. I did a video that's called like how it the life of off-grid YouTuber or something like that. And then I show a bit more of how I'm thinking of like structuring my day and scripting and so on. But I don't have I would have the dream scenario in that kind of video would be me hiring a friend of mine to film me while I'm filming. That would be the true behind the scenes, I guess. But I haven't done that yet. But I realize that most people online on my channel doesn't really care. They just want the story. A friend of mine, Andreas.
I think that's interesting, because I'm not sure, because the thing is, you've got everything. The story's fantastic, and I don't know. I think a lot of people who aren't filmmakers might not necessarily understand what they're watching and appreciate the visual side of it until that's gone. So it would be interesting to see, you know, because I think people really do like that, but they just don't appreciate that it's happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have a standing joke, me and my friend Andreas. Him and I started a second YouTube channel now this fall together, and we had a joke, because every time I left the cabin and made a video in a different area or about something else, they always just tanked completely. And we have a standing joke that like my viewers just want a radius of 20 meters around the cabin, and that's it, nothing further away. And that's in the analytics. But again, if I do more content on the behind the scenes, I will attract more audience that like that kind of stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's just fascinating to see. I just quite like that side of things anyway, just to see people's process. But
yeah, I love it too.
Yeah. And your background is in film as well.
Yeah, I started out as a sound designer to begin with. So I made sound design and Foley.
Lovely.
Foley is basically all the sounds you hear in movies that is not the dialogue. So if you hear someone say walking in a corridor, you hear the click, clack, click, clack, or like a horse riding by, or a match being lit or something. That is all recorded afterwards, because there's not enough microphones to pick it up on a movie set. So everything has to be faked afterwards. I did a lot of those for movies and commercials and so on. And then I did a lot of video games. I did trailers and for Battlefield.
Okay, right, yeah.
That was really, really cool for my boy, coming from my childhood as a gamer. Just putting explosions and gunshots to trailers for Battlefield. And then I translated that into becoming more of a filmmaker, because I knew editing, I knew story in sound. So I translated that quite easily to filmmaking. And that's actually thanks to my ex-girlfriend. She was a filmmaker, and she taught me how to actually use the camera. I've been holding a camera my entire life, but I didn't really know how to, put it together or build a story in that sense. I've filmed and taken photos for a long, long, long time. But she was the one actually making me go after it as a career.
Yeah, nice. So one of the questions I have is that you've made a huge life decision to kind of turn your life upside down from what it was before, living in Stockholm, and very different life to what you have now. Are there any regrets?
The only thing that comes to mind when you talk about stuff like that is that I'm very far from my family. That's not a regret in the sense, but that's the one thing I'm missing. We went down to my family on this Monday to Wednesday. So it's a 6 hours drive if you don't stop, which we had to do with the dogs and get food and so on. So it's an 8-hour drive, start to finish, down on Monday, and then on Wednesday we drove up again.
Oh, wow.
So it's a 16 hours drive just to get to my family for 2 days. And I love spending time with them, and it's a bit sad that they are so far away, or that I'm so far away, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I'm missing. But on the other hand, I wouldn't want to live where they're living either. And the reality is that we have such a flexible job with YouTube, so we can take Monday to Wednesday off if we feel like it, and if we plan it a bit. So there's no boss to tell us to like, nope, you can't leave. We can just, I don't need to publish the videos this week, and then we go down to the family instead.
Yeah, amazing. It's very inspirational. I think a lot of people or stereotypically in cities, but in towns or whatever, they watch your videos and others and would just love to do that. And circumstance, it's very difficult because I don't want to generalize. Everyone's got a different situation, but what I like is that you've been very honest about your circumstance to doing this, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't a walk in the park, and it's still not. It's not like you've done it and life's easy. It's not. You've got hard winters, and you show that side of it. And I think it's I think what you're striking a balance between not having a really hard life, but you've just got that slight bit of resistance, where it's not as simple as just switching on a switch. And I think that's really important for our own health, just to so you know where stuff's coming from, how much work's put into it, and you're living that. And I think and I know it's hard, and you show that on your channel, but I think that's quite important to have just a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think so too. Like that's how I want our kid to grow up as well. Like understanding that there is a bit of struggle to everything. You can't just like get everything you want, even though we can go to the supermarket and just buy everything, and we can get heat if I just fix the place up. But it's kind of, I like that things takes time as well. Like I like the idea of like putting on a fire in the morning. I like the what do you call it, the foundational heat to be a bit higher, so I don't have to start from 0 degrees. I think it's nice to have, like, we have the wood burning stove in the kitchen where we're making all the food. When friends come over, they're like, "Oh, so you make a fire breakfast, lunch, and dinner?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I do." Nowadays I don't even think about it. It's just like automatic. I just put it on, do something else for a while, and then when I come back 10 minutes later, it's heated, and then it's ready to go. So that's not a big deal. But there's of course other comfortable things I would like to have, like the bathroom, for instance. Or the other week, the compost toilet froze, so I actually had to take a shovel and just go into the forest to take a shit. Wow. That's nothing bad, but it's a bit complicated when you get a family and they have to go to the bathroom. So I'm fine. I'm kind of a harsh man in that sense, and Christina talked a lot about that I'm the Viking, and we can't have a son or daughter in this kind of harsh environment. So I feel there's a lot of pressure to fix this place up. But again, if I look how it looked like from the beginning when I moved here, that was very, very, very simple. So I feel like this version of the cabin is very luxurious already. So just giving it a few more years, it's going to be up to standards to what we kind of want. But it's a financial question as well. Even though we earn kind of good money seasonally on YouTube, it's still a long way from paying for everything.
So how do you balance that? I mean, are you just full-time on YouTube, or are you doing other things, other sources of income?
I would say I'm doing a bit too many things, if I have to be honest. So not everything is income-based, of course, because I like to do things because it's just fun as well. But I have my main YouTube channel, and then my second YouTube channel that we started just recently.
Yeah, very recently, which is fantastic as well. I'll put the link to that below as well, because that's a lovely different... just shows the different lifestyle which you don't on your channel. And I know you said you kind of tried to show that, but it wasn't quite working, so you've just started another channel, and it's incredible with a friend of yours. So I'll put the link down to that, because that's a whole other...
So that's hope to be a generative income in the future somewhere, but now we're just doing it for fun and see where it goes. Then I have the newsletter, again, not earning any money on that, but it's a good distribution source for my stuff that I'm talking about. I have my ebook that I'm selling, so that's bringing in kind of a good income each month, a few bucks here and there. It's not much, but it's still something at least. And then I have the YouTube channel, of course, that's the main. I do some sponsorships on YouTube with brands I like to work with, and then I do some collaborations in the sense of I have a collaboration with the municipality here. So we have done 2 collabs so far. One where we did a video together on my channel. The second collaboration was that we invited 50 of my subscribers to this town. And they got to hang out with me and do this kind of everything from going hiking in the forest, cooking outdoors. We had a whole 3 days planned. And we're going to do the same now in February, but the winter edition of that instead. So ice bathing, ice fishing, dog sledding, northern light hunting. So that's an income as well, because they pay me to do that event with them, of course.
And it's a lovely thing to do. And that's a collaboration with the municipality for tourism to
Exactly.
promote tourism.
Their goal is to get people to visit or move to this town of Sollefteå. Exactly. So that's their hope with the collaboration.
Fantastic.
Which is insane, because they have so much data now that just the 2 first collaborations we did have actually made a lot of people move. And it's crazy to think. It's kind of scary to have the responsibility for that people move thanks to, I guess, the content I share. It's a bit scary.
And do you know the kind of proportion of those people moving from abroad? Or
we have had people from, I know at least one guy from India, we have from Canada, several from Germany, from Sweden as well, of course, and Norway. So there are quite a few, actually, and it's just getting more and more. So
fantastic. So yeah, I guess you're creating a almost physical community along with online community in that respect.
Yeah, in a sense, actually. So, and I like that. I've always talked about that. I like to have one foot in the digital world and one foot in the forest, because I really like the online world as well. It doesn't need to be one or the other. Like, I like to live in this cabin. It's very simple. It's very, harsh sometimes, but I also like to sit here on my fiber optics internet and play video games with my guys in the evenings. It
so
can be both.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for you, when you got fiber connected, that was a game changer, especially being a YouTuber.
That was a game changer.
Kind of
yeah, that was harsh from the beginning, because every upload I almost upload weekly now as well, but then I was very harsh on it, and I have to upload it every Sunday. And then it was I took the car up to the top of the mountain, or I hiked, depending on the season, of course, because I can't take the car in the winter. And then I had my laptop with me, 2 car batteries, and then what do you call it? A modem, a router for the internet. And that was very heavy, and it took about 5 to 6 hours to upload each video. And just sit there. I couldn't do anything else, because I had to make sure everything worked. And it was a few times, I think 3 or 4 times, when it was up, and I always double check it when it is on YouTube, just to make sure, okay, it looks good, everything is fine. And then it was like a glitch, at the end of the file, or something went wrong, and then I had to hike back again, render the file out from a computer, hike back up again, and sit for another 5 hours. That sucked. It's horrible.
You see all these videos about, this is how it's really difficult starting a YouTube channel. It's really difficult getting a following. No one does a video about how difficult it is to upload a video. Let alone
exactly.
doing all of that.
But now it takes literally, even if the file is really, really big, it takes me around 45 seconds to upload it on YouTube from here.
Wow.
So it's insanely fast.
You said it was something like 1,000 megabits per second.
Yeah, 1,000 up and 1,000 down.
When I saw you say that, I was like, no, I must have got, because we've got 65 megabits per second here, which is supposed to be quick. It was supposed to be really quick, and I was like, it can't be 1,000. Maybe he means 100. I was like, that's insane.
No, it's 1,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we pay for 1,000, but we get kind of 900 something. It's always a bit lower, of course.
That's
it's
fantastic.
insane.
Yeah,
we would probably be very fine on 100 as well, but it's just a kick, to hit upload and then and it's up. So
which is interesting, because
when we do the live streams as well,
you'll probably go to the city and think, oh, this is a bit slow.
Yeah, I mean, I actually do.
Incredibly quick.
It is
amazing. So in terms of plans for the future, obviously, baby, and Christine, they're obviously the main thing. Do you have any other plans that you want to do, like the sort of dreams that you want to do? I guess life has changed very much from living in Stockholm to being in here. So has that changed your whole kind of perception of your future than what you thought before?
Yeah, my goal, I would say, is that, because when I lived in the city, I actually worked less then. I work more now, even though I love what I do now. That's a big difference from the city, of course. So I work just way too much now. It's way more than 9 to 5, because my brain doesn't really shut off, because everything could be kind of content that I do. So like today I'm gonna start painting our ceiling inside here. Like that would go quite quickly if I just did it, but I need to tell a story about how we did that, so I can actually pay the money back for the paint and everything. So everything takes way longer because you have to film it. And the one thing I would like to change for the future is to work less. So I can be more with Christine, the dogs, and the baby, because it's not sustainable in the tempo I'm doing it now, but I have to keep this tempo to provide for me and Christina, because she can't earn any money while she's on the couch. So I have to make kind of double what I used to, and also prepare the cabin and everything, and everything we have to buy for the baby as well. So the main difference I would like to see as shift in is to be more, have more passive incomes. I'm developing a course right now that I'm releasing in December. That's going to go live in January. And that's a thing I'm going to do once a year, because I like to do other things than just YouTube. Even though I love YouTube, it's like the dream workplace.
Yeah.
But even though I love it so much, I can still get tired of it, because I do it so much. So I like to do a course as a fun thing on the side for my creativity. It's the same thing with the collaboration with the municipality. Do something, actual physical event is something different as well.
Yeah, lovely. And it's great to just kind of mitigate that risk as well, and have things, not reliant on
exactly.
one thing.
You never know what's going to happen with YouTube. So
yeah, absolutely. So can you talk about that course, or is that under wraps for now?
Yeah, it's fine. I can give you the basics of it. It's a self-development course for people that want to make a change in their life, basically. So I'm going to hold their hand for 4 weeks while we go through it together. So it's not a course that you just buy and then you get it as a file. It's a live course with me and all the other participants for 4 weeks.
Awesome.
So we have live classrooms. We have 4 famous YouTubers coming in as guest lecturers as well every Wednesday.
Nice.
We have classrooms every Sunday and Fridays, and then videos that are pre-recorded in between that, so they can have their own kind of sessions at home, and then we do the wrap-ups together and so on.
That sounds
so that's going to be really, really cool, because I don't want to just hand over a big responsibility to people. I just want to actually, I know how people work. They like to buy something and then just hope things are going to happen. But to make stuff happen, you actually need a, what do you call it, accountability partner. And that's what the whole course is, to make shit happen, actually.
Yeah, and you're there throughout the whole process, so you are accountable. Yeah, that's awesome. What a great idea. Fantastic. Yeah, it's just been great. I mean, I'm conscious of your time, Kalle, so I might have to...
No worries, I have the whole day, so it's fine by me. I'm just going to paint today. So.
I know, you've got to get things ready for your baby coming. I mean, I guess, do you have any advice, having done it, having been through it, for anyone wanting to do something that, to do what you've done, or something similar?
My best recommendation would be to actually sit down and take a piece of paper and pen and just write down actually what you want on the first couple of rows, and then on the few lines down you write down, if I go for that dream, what is the absolute worst thing that could happen? And then you write that down, and then you're gonna realize quite quickly it's actually not that scary. Because even if I take me as an example, when I moved to the cabin, it was scary because I didn't know if I'm going to earn any money, how it's going to work out, am I ever going to meet a girl out here? So many question marks. But when I think about it in hindsight, it's like, yeah, if I failed, if like in the sense of failing that I didn't make it out here, couldn't pull in enough money, or if I didn't even like it for some reason, the worst case scenario, the worst thing that could happen is I move back to the city. Go get another apartment and another job until I figure something else out, and then I'm just back on where I started. So there's nothing to really lose, but like, of course it's going to be scary, but that's just part of it, I guess.
Yeah and you're testament to that, and that's what I really like about your channel, is that lots of people are very quick to put excuses, and they'll see what you've done or what someone else has done, and they go, yeah, well, that's great, but I can't do that because, I mean, he had this and this and this, but you didn't. Like, that's the point. And even just the stories of we didn't even have a car, having to walk 7 hours just to get groceries is no small feat in the summer or even the winter as well. And even I didn't even know about the YouTube thing. I know that's a small thing, but even starting a YouTube channel and having to go to a mountain with a couple of car batteries to upload a video, is that's it's just kind of taking it to the extreme, so
you have to kind of really want it. That's the thing as well, because when you write down that dream of yours, make sure that it's something that you really want to do, because otherwise it's going to be hard to succeed, I actually think, because it's too much that goes in the way, or too many obstacles sometimes. And it doesn't need to be a cabin in the woods. It can just be a change in life in any direction. It's going to be tough, and it's going to be obstacles. And if you stumble on those even first obstacles, maybe it's not the dream, but then at least you tried it. So
exactly, and you've done it, and you've learned, from that day one to now. And I think what I like is you're never planning to be there. It just kind of evolved.
Yeah, and this is I got actually a good recommendation from an old school of mine that I went to when I moved here. It was in a whole year education in part-time, but it's a whole year. We went 2 seasons where we had organic farming basically for a year that we learned about that. And they talked about how important it is to live in a place before you start making changes. They were talking about specifically the garden, like because you have to kind of figure out, where am I going? Where are the paths on this property? Where do I actually go to pick up berries? Where's the logical thing to park the car and so on? And that applies to so much when you move to a new place in general, or just do a change. Live in an area, try to figure it out, because I don't see a point of like just changing everything from the beginning. You take it step by step, because for once it's going to feel more valuable to you because it took some time and you had to put in some effort to it. And second of all, it's also the more logical thing, because otherwise you may take some really rash decisions that wasn't really correct. So making things take time, it's not a bad thing at all.
No, and I think that's the day and age we live in, is everyone wants things, it has to be now. We're all striving for
quick
now
fixes.
with everything.
Get abs in 6 days.
It's like you order something online, it's like that's going to take 3 days. That's forever. Like we want things now. And actually, slow living is it's strange, and I'm guilty of this. I'm a bit of a workaholic. I am, because I enjoy it, but also I know it has it's negative in some respects. But it's weird that for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's harder to go slow than it is to go fast. It's which is mind blowing. Really, it should be easier to slow down, but actually you really have to learn how to do it, and it's not an easy thing to do.
It is hard. I agree.
And I think you've done that very well. Even though I know you're working very hard, and it's but you're finding that balance, and maybe you'll disagree with that. I know I think we're always probably going to try and find the balance till the day we die.
Yeah, we hope we're going to find the balance one day, but probably the balance is to just trying to figure it out along the way. Christine said that, like, she joked about it a couple of days ago, that she said, like, when you told me that you're going to start uploading weekly on YouTube, I was like, yeah. She was like, I haven't really seen you since then, and that's been 3.5 years almost, because I've been working so much. It's been a curse to this relationship and this lifestyle, but in the most kind of blessing as well. So it's both highs and lows in it, I guess.
It's that bittersweet, isn't it? Last couple of short questions. Do you know what latitude you're on? Do you know the latitude?
No, I do not actually.
I was just wondering if you knew it off by chance, just to kind of get an idea. But are you within the Arctic Circle or not?
We are below it.
Just below it.
Here it says, let's see. So it's, how do I say this so you understand it as well? These are the coordinates. Is that what you're looking for?
The first 2 coordinates, let there be maybe 60 or 70-ish?
Yeah, 63 is the first one.
63, so you are in the Arctic Circle.
63, yeah, but we're not, okay, that's how you phrase it, because it's, we have something called a polar circle, and that's a few hours north from here. But maybe you count this as the Arctic a bit south of it. I don't know.
The Arctic, I think, is 66 degrees north. So anything within that, I think, as far as I might have got that wrong. I better double check that. Correct that in there, just in case I've got some major fact wrong.
The show notes.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to get an idea. So you're 63 degrees. So that's interesting. Just for the, we can see the climate on your YouTube channel. It's very clear in the winter that it's cold, and that's kind of what you need. But it's just quite interesting to see. And you were saying, last question, just for anyone thinking about looking at property in Sweden. For the Odehaus.
Odehaus.
Odehaus. Is that Facebook seems to be a good place to look. Facebook communities within the
Yeah,
area.
because the tricky part is that most of these houses never get online. They never get really uploaded somewhere. Because I've recommended people before to go on, like if you find an area where you like to live, like we live in close to a town called Sollefteå, and if you go on these kind of groups and if you find an area you like, it's actually easier to actually, I think at least, ask there, like, hi, we're moving from here and here, we're looking for a property, and just explain and introduce yourself, and you might get lucky. I found this cabin actually online that was up for sale on a site called Blocket, and there's another page called Hemnet.
I've been
HomeNet.
on both of those. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I know the one.
But it's
you
not
mean.
very often that you can find a log cabin or something like that. But you can also be in contact with municipalities of the towns and just check, because some of them, like ours here, have started to investigate and help Odehaus sales. So they might have a list of actually people wanting to sell, but they haven't put it online yet.
Awesome. And would you say, final question, would you say, I know from here, since COVID, housing prices have gone through the roof that are out of cities. Would that be the same? Would you say those sort of properties have gone up?
I actually don't know. I haven't keep a track on prices at all. I was just lucky to find this before as well. I bought this in 2017 and moved here permanently the winter of 2018.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the prices actually, if I had to be honest.
Interesting. Okay, that's awesome. I mean, it's been such an insight. I love it, and it's been great to speak to you in person online.
Yeah, you too.
And thank you so much. I'm going to put all your links below and to your new channel as well, because I think people get a lot out of that, especially from the exploratory style and still beautiful videos. So yeah, Kalle, I wish you all the best with the baby as well. It's going to be a busy time getting everything sorted for that, and I can't wait to see the updates on that. And how that progresses with the renovations and then baby life, and that's a whole new.
It's going to be a new chapter,
massive chapter in the book. So thank you so much for taking the time, and
thank you for having me.
Hope to speak to you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Legend, Kalle. You take care.
Yeah, you too.
The Off-Grid Path podcast.